This is Desiree Potts from 5th period IB Language A HL2. Rhapsody on a Windy Night is from T.S. Eliot's collection of poems titled Prufrock and Other Observations, published in 1917. In order to better understand Eliot's literature, it must be understood that he lived in a time period of post-war disillusionment, which led to the American dream's decay and decline of clerical influence, allowing immorality to increase. The main idea of this poem is though we each endure our own personal experiences, the conclusion is the same. We must all accept that the world is corrupt and helpless, and trying to change that is pointless. First of all, Rhapsody on a Windy Night is an ironic title, due to a rhapsody being most commonly associated with an enthusiastic tune, while the work itself has a bleak and melancholic tone, causing its darkness to be inescapable. The first stanza begins at midnight, validified in line 11 by the usage of midnight, which is the end of one day and start of a new one, while also being in the dark. This beginning in the dark represents current lack of knowledge. This stanza describes... Oh, I forgot to read it. The first stanza goes 12 o'clock. Along the reaches of the street, held in a lunar synthesis, whispering lunar incantations dissolve the floors of memory in all its clear relations, its divisions and precisions. Every street lamp that I pass beats like a fatalistic drum, and through the spaces of the dark, midnight shakes the memory as a madman shakes a dead geranium. This stanza describes the street. It has multiple street lamps along it, representing what the speaker is able to see and comprehend each day. These lamps, as he travels down the street, change in his vision, similar to a lunar synthesis, or in other words, the phases of the moon. The lunar incantations, as stated in line 4, or the light dispelling from these lamps, represent the speaker's daily experiences, which are the influence for his personal thoughts and opinions, and they're what he can see because the lamp's light is limited in the darkness, because it can't illuminate all of the darkness. It can only illuminate a part of it. Each different experience causes him to become confused and unsure of his thoughts, like a madman shaking a dead geranium. The geranium is the symbol of preference or friendship, or, since it's dead, a dead preference or like changed opinion. Eliot uses these images to introduce his idea that through time we change, due to our experiences and fatalistic life occurrences. The second stanza goes 1:30. The street lamp sputtered, the street lamp muttered, the street lamp said, "Regard that woman who hesitates towards you in the light of the door, which opens on her like a grin. You see the border of her dress is torn and stained with sand, and you see the corner of her eye twist like a crooked pin." So the second stanza starts out at 1:30, implying that this is just the beginning, and things are noticed early on, and ideas are formed. Just like at a young age you start developing your own ideas and opinions about life. Eliot describes an image of a woman who fears going near the reader. Well, he says you, so that's why I used the reader. Enter the poem's persona, because they are in the light of the door, not yet shown was in the darkness. The woman is wearing a torn dress that is stained with sand. Sand is tan, which is a shade of yellow, and yellow represents sickness and decay. She is tainted with this decay of morality, causing her to become corrupt this being deduced by Eliot's use of the words twists and crooked, further exposing us to our first image of immorality and helplessness. The third stanza continues on the woman, but as a catalyst of the memory. So she's the reason why this memory showed up. It just kind of showed up because of his use of throwing up. He says the memory throws up high and dry crowd of twisted things. So the use of saying throwing up gives you that image of vomiting, which is an involuntary action. The third stanza continues, a twisted branch upon the beach, eaten smooth and polished as if the world gave up the secret of its skeleton, stiff and white. A broken spring in a factory yard, rust that clings to the form that the strength has left, hard and curled and ready to snap. He recalls other twisted things. For example, he remembers a smooth down twisted branch on the beach that, like an object being spat upon by the beach by the ocean, reminds him of an exposed bone. This specific image represents post-war disillusionment, in which the cause of their former strength is exposed, their strict or stiff and moral or white faith, as the skeleton was described as stiff and white. The image of the rested spring in a factory yard represents another human being going through his life, reaching that point of moral decay until he reaches Zen, because rust is just the metal decaying, wearing away. Let's see. Stanza 4 goes, 2:30, the street lamp said, remark the cat which flattens itself in the gutter, slips out its tongue, and devours a morsel of rancid butter. So the hand of the child, automatic, slipped out and pocketed a toy that was running along the quay. I could see nothing behind that child's eye. I have seen eyes in the street trying to peer through lighted shutters, and a crab one afternoon in a pool, an old crab with barnacles on his back, gripped the end of a stick which I held him. In stanza 4, the street lamp's speech is stated clearly for the first time, without muttering or stuttering as before. Beforehand, the eventual affirmation was because the speaker was present. However, the direct use of said in this stanza implies that this is the speaker. The cat, flattened against the gutter, represents a shadow or reflection of his present self, becoming aware of the rancid distastefulness of life's reality. So basically, the rancid butter is the reality of life. And the child that he saw is just a memory of himself. That was when he was innocent and naive, and he can no longer see anything inside of his child self because he can no longer see purity and goodness as existent. So therefore it's nothing. And purity and goodness, which is are ideas possessed by children. What he does see is older people seeking the truth about life. These are the eyes that he does see. The old crab with the barnacles on its back represent his future self carrying all of his burdenous knowledge. He is holding the stick because, according to the idea of post-war disillusionment, there is no God to control his fate, so he controls his own, because people started thinking, why would God let this happen? So they, stopped having faith in him. They had faith in themselves. The next stanza goes, 3:30, the lamp sputtered, the lamp muttered in the dark, the lamp hummed. Regard the moon, la lune ne garde aucun rancune. She winks a feeble eye. She smiles into corners. She smooths the hair of the grass. The moon has lost her memory. A washed-out smallpox cracks her face. Her hand twists a paper rose that smells of dust and eau de cologne. She is alone, with all the old nocturnal smells that cross and cross across her brain. The reminiscence comes of sunless dry geraniums and dust in crevices, smells of chestnuts in the street and female smells in shuttered rooms, and cigarettes in corridors and cocktail smells in bars. So in this stanza, the lamp sputters, mutters in the dark, and hums the next experience because he can't actually see the moon to do the following, because the moon is actually the romantic inside him, the feminine part of him that believes in love, or that did believe in love, that might have believed in love. It says that the moon has lost its memory, meaning which just means that he lost his memory of what love is supposed to be. He hasn't forgotten love, it's just its true meaning is stored in a part of his brain, and what he has is an understanding of what love is now. And that is implied by the fact that he uses nocturnal to describe these smells given to him from this rose that is supposed to represent love and all his ideas of love. And it's still on his mind because it says they cross across his brain. So, the paper rose that is twisted represents the manner of love in this period of time. It's twisted and easy to tear apart. Continuing stanza 5, his reminiscence of love is brought upon by sights and smells, reminding him of its immorality, of its new meaning, its immoral meaning. Instead of referring to the geraniums as dead, Eliot states that they are sunless and dry, or they're lacking sunlight and water, which represent honesty and purity, which are significant components to a healthy relationship, making it deducible that love was lacking its necessities, just like these geraniums are lacking its necessities. Lines 65 and 66 imply that love at that time was based more upon sexuality rather than actual love, because it says, and smells of chestnuts in the street and female smells in shuttered rooms. The female smells are obviously from having sexual intercourse, and chestnuts are actually a symbol of prevention and fertility. So if you look at it as a symbol of fertility, it shows how it's more based upon sex. Stanzas 6 and 7 are really short, and it says, the lamp said, 4 o'clock, here is the number on the door. Memory, you have the key. The little lamp spreads a ring on the stair. Mount. The bed is open. The toothbrush hangs on the wall. Put your shoes at the door. Sleep. Prepare for life. The last twist of the night. Stanzas 6 and 7 make up the poem's conclusion, where the main idea is finally exhumed. The lamp only lights up the stair, implying that life, or the lamp, was only there to guide the reader to their conclusion, which is the room, where they will sleep and prepare for life. This room is not lit by the lamp. Therefore, throughout the entire poem, you are guided by the light, just to find out that you end up returning to the darkness where the truth actually lied the entire time. It's where the truth was located the whole time, which is the last twist of the knife, the realization that the world is corrupt and twisted, and there is no way of changing it.